Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I'm going to be ranking the 7 new blush formulas I tried so far this year. 7 is a lot of blushes to try in only 4 months, but it's definitely been the year of blush. I feel like everybody's releasing new formulas or new shades, so let's just hop right into it. Coming in at number 7 is one that came out very recently. This is from Rare Beauty, and this is their Soft Pinch Powder Blush. I have the shade Cheer, and I was really on the fence with what I thought about this one for a while. So this shade in particular, I think is supposed to be Selena's custom shade, so that's why I went with this one. I think this is stunning. I think it's a beautiful shade. It gives such a pretty color to the cheeks, but it is also incredibly glowy. So I think my preferred method with this particular blush is going to be to use it as a bit more of a blush topper. I find it's beautiful, but if you have any sort of texture on your cheeks, if you're prone to texture, if you have breakouts, things like that you're kind of trying to cover, I would definitely avoid these because they are so glowy. It really is a mix between a powder blush and her highlighters. They are intensely glowy. I think they're absolutely stunning, and I think if you have completely perfect, flawless skin, this is perfect. Absolutely perfect. I think you'll love these, but I think if you have any texture or anything that you might not want to enhance on your cheeks, then I would probably stay away from this. Someone asked me if this would be a work appropriate blush, and I don't see why not. You can go in with a light hand and get a much softer look, but if you do continue to build it up, it's just going to get glowier and glowier. So that's the only thing I want to mention. I will like this best as a topper, but I do still think it's a very beautiful blush. Keep in mind, I don't hate any of the blushes that I have here today. It's been a really amazing year for blush so far, so I just wanted to mention that. Coming in at number 6 is from e.l.f. and this is their Camo Liquid Blush. I actually really like this. I have this one in the shade Dusty Rosé, and this is of course supposed to be a dupe for the Rare Beauty Liquid Blush, and this just has this really nice doe foot on it. It's rounded, but it is kind of slanted. It is like a dusty rose, but it leans slightly peach, but it's very beautiful. It is pigmented, but not nearly as pigmented as the Rare Beauty, and that you have to be so incredibly careful. I could easily do 2 dots with this, blend it out, and it looks beautiful. I find this to be easier to blend than the Rare Beauty Liquid Blush. I do love this. I think it's a beautiful shade. It's just easier to blend out. It's a bit softer, but it's also incredibly long wearing. So I think e.l.f. did a really amazing job with this product. The reason it's ranking lower is nothing to do necessarily with the product. I just don't typically reach for liquid blushes as often, and I knew that when I picked this up, but I wanted to try it anyway because it just sounded so good, and it definitely is wonderful. It's just not a formula I reach for that often, but if you do like liquid blush, I would heavily recommend this. I think this is wonderful. Coming in at number 5 is from REM Beauty, and this is their Satin Matte Blush in the shade Peach Planet. I think this is beautiful. There is something about this formula. This is probably one of the most buttery blushes I have in my collection. This is a gorgeous peach. I love peaches for spring and summer. Definitely a very flattering blush shade. I just think it looks so beautiful on so many different people. I love this blush. Like I said, it's very buttery. It is very pigmented though, so I just want to mention that I do recommend tapping off your brush before going in on the cheeks, but otherwise it's just this stunning buttery formula, so blendable. Again, just very long wearing and easy to work with. I do love this blush. I have considered picking up more shades of this. Packaging is definitely a little bit bulky, but it's definitely on brand for the rest of their brand and their products, but I do think this is a wonderful formula. They also released a bronzer in this line, and the bronzer is phenomenal. A little bit warm, but the bronzer is also an excellent formula. So I do highly recommend these if you were thinking about this formula. I think they're wonderful. Coming in at number 4 is from LYS, and this is their blush stick, and I have the shade Curvy. So once again, I have a beautiful peach blush. This is what the component looks like. So it does look just like their bronzer packaging, but in a pink. And like I said, this is yet another peach shade. I think it's so beautiful. It does have a slight shimmer to it, so if you don't like that, I would avoid this one. But this is such a beautiful, easy to work with cream blush. This looks so beautiful on the cheeks. It gives such a beautiful glow from within. And I love to take this off the stick with a brush and then pat it on the cheeks. That just gives me the very best color payoff. I find that drawing directly on the cheeks, you can definitely make it work, but I feel like you need to do a little bit more work in the blending department, so it's easier to just take it off the stick. I think that this formula is so blendable. If you're familiar with the bronzer stick, that one is so incredibly easy to blend, and I feel like this one is almost even easier. I love this. I don't always go for cream blushes. Sometimes that's what I'm going for, sometimes it isn't, but I think this is one of my very favorite cream blushes just for the blendability alone. I think LYS did such a good job with this. And I also love that LYS is one of those brands at Sephora that has a lower price point than some of the others, so that definitely wins points with me, always, but I do highly recommend this one. Okay, coming at number 3 is from Natasha Denona, and I think this might have been the very first blush I tried this year. This is the My Mini Dream Glow Blush. So when I first tried this one, this is one of those blushes that I actually couldn't get out of my head. I just kept thinking about it. I kept wanting to use it. I have a project usage goal going on within my project pan for blushes right now. I'm trying to get the very most out of my blush collection this year, and typically I'm putting in blushes that I've had for a longer period of time. But this one I had to put in because I couldn't get it out of my head. So I thought it would be fun to throw this one in because I couldn't stop thinking about it, but I wanted to be successful with my usage goals. So I put this in with a usage goal of 8, and I met it in no time because I had so much fun using this. With this blush, you do get 2 different shades of blush and a highlighter. You can use each individual shade or you can mix them together. My favorite way to use this is by mixing the 2 pinky shades. I just think that looks the very, very best. It's just such a beautiful shade combo. It blends beautifully, it wears all day, and I truly love it. I probably don't get as much use out of the highlight, but this is easily one of my very favorite blushes from Natasha. I know she has a lot of cream blushes and I enjoy those, but I do find they dry out a little bit quicker than I would personally like. So I was really excited, of course, to see her come out with a powder blush in such beautiful shades. I love this one. The top 2 were very difficult to choose from. I flipped them back and forth so many times. I'm still not even 100% convinced about my ranking on this one. I think if you ask me a week from now, they might be flipped. But today, this is where they are. So coming in at number 2 is from Patrick Ta, and this is one of the Double Take Cream and Powder Blush Duos. I have not too much. He's had this formula for quite a while, but he recently released a shade extension, and this shade is my absolute favorite. So I do have one of his brighter pink blushes. I think She's That Girl is the one that I already have. This one is, like I said, not too much. And there is something about this tone. It's kind of like a pinky beige. So it's just so flattering, and it really does look like a natural flush if you do it right. I absolutely love this. I do love this formula, but I love this if you just go in with the powder because it just looks so beautiful, so simple. If you're going for a very minimal look, maybe a no makeup look, you might just really enjoy the powder. But then you can go in with the cream on top like he recommends, and you intensify that color underneath, but you also really lock in your color for the entire day. This will not budge when you do that, and I do love it. I do sometimes skip the cream just because I do find it intensifies the color, and I'm already very fair, so sometimes this is more than enough. But when I really want to lock it in, I will easily go for this one because I love it. I think it's stunning. And overall, I just love this pinky beige shade. I think it's so flattering, especially on fair skin. I think if you are around my skin tone and you've wanted to get into this formula or you've wanted to try one of these, but his shades are just so vibrant, I think this is a really great option for that because this is one of my absolute favorite blush shades I have in my entire collection. And coming in at number 1 is a product I purchased during the Sephora savings event, and I do have another shade in this formula in my collection, but This particular shade has been in and out of my Sephora cart so many times over the last year, maybe year and a half. And finally I splurged on it. This is the Dior Rosy Glow blush in the shade Rosewood. And this is what I'm wearing today. I love this blush so much. So first of all, it looks so beautiful. It looks like a very, kind of like a berry pink, but on the cheeks, it just looks so pretty. It does have that sort of berry element to it. It's definitely a deeper pink, but it's not nearly as intense on the cheeks as it looks in the pan, and I just love how it goes on. I love how it applies. I recently described it in that it's a powder blush, but when you apply it to the cheeks, it almost looks a little bit more like a cream in the way that it melts into the skin and just sort of meshes into all the other makeup. It just looks so beautiful and seamless, and that's what I'm going for. I also love that this wears all day long. When I take my makeup off tonight before bed, this will still be here. So I love this blush so much. This is one that I've had a really hard time not using. I've got a ColourPop blush in my Project Pan rotation, and I'm barely touching it this month because I've been using this one and the Patrick Ta so much. But that is it. Those are the 7 blush formulas I have tried so far this year. You can definitely expect some of these blushes to rank very high in my year-end rankings in December. Let me know down below some of your favorite blushes. What are some of the new ones you've tried recently? Have you tried any of these? Let me know your thoughts. I love hearing from you guys so much. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload new videos every single week. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!